Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Such a nice change to see all of you students here. So thank you very much. Thank you, Professor Perron, for being here as well. So again, there's refreshments. You're more than welcome to come up and get some. At the end, there'll be time for questions and answers for Mr. Kahli Hernandez. So let's get started. So first and foremost, here we have Kahli Hernandez, known as the world famous cartoonist. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and read a little bit about you, and then we'll go into questions. Okay? If you have anything to share, feel free to say anything that you want to. So
Okay.
Kahli Hernandez is a dynamic artist and educator based in Springfield, Massachusetts. Born in born in Brooklyn, New York. He has made significant contributions to the local art scene through various roles, including muralist, live painter, event coordinator, and instructor. His vibrant cartoon-inspired style has been showcased in numerous events and exhibitions such as the Worthington Street Mural Project in 2022 and the Art Heist exhibition at Springfield Technical Community College.
Fire.
Yes, at the Amy Arch Carberry Fine Arts Gallery. Raymond, happening at the moment. How do you feel about that?
I'm blown away that I actually pulled it off. And shout out to Sandra, because she didn't have to let me do it. And everything she said was yes. I was like, oh, can I do this? Yes. Can I do this? Yes. And I'm like, gotta do it. Everything I want to do, I'm gonna do.
Yes,
So-
we love community contributions and local artists, local leaders.
Yeah.
So we have to showcase you, right?
That's great. Yeah.
And again, thanks to Sandra Perron for that. So in addition to his artistic endeavors, Hernandez has self-published works like the coloring book, Color Me Crazy in 2024, aiming to inspire future creators and aspiring artists. That's amazing.
Yes. It's so funny, real quick. I was working at, I was tabling at MLK event that we usually do every year at Mass Mutual.
Yes.
And I needed something for the kids to do. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what I have to do. So I was like, let me just make some coloring pages real quick from my old sketchbook, drawing and stuff like that. And the kids that went to the event, they loved the coloring stuff. So I said, God, should I make a coloring book?
Yeah.
They're like, yes. And like a week later, I made the coloring book.
They're your consumers. You have to.
That's awesome.
So also your dedication to fostering creative extends your role as an enrichment coordinator and teacher, designing programs such as Expressive Color Theory Program in 2022, which was implemented in local schools.
Yes.
So your commitment to the community engagement and artistic innovation continues to enrich the cultural landscape of Springfield and beyond.
That's right. It's so weird hearing everything, right? It's like, I've just been so busy doing stuff, and it's just like, wow, like, I forgot about it.
You did.
I forgot about
Well, I didn't.
I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah. So today what we're doing is in celebration of African American history and also Afro-Latino culture. We wanted to encompass both traditions because it's important for us to realize who we are, where we come from, and our culture
Right.
can define us.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and talk a little bit about your cultural heritage and identity. Can you share how your Afro-Latino and African-American roots have shaped your personal identity and artistic voice?
I think the biggest thing, growing up was being integrated in such a melting pot of just middle schools and I grew up around Forest Park. So we all know we have Puerto Rican, Dominican, everybody's there, Mexican, Guatemalan.
A big Hispanic community.
Yes, very big. And then just picking up stuff, just different foods, being introduced to my favorite restaurant right now is Chicharron.
Chicharron, yes.
So the food and culture has definitely off on me. And I love it. So that also, I would say that, you know, that's a part of anybody's life, just being in the melting pot, you pick up things that you normally wouldn't.
Right.
I culturally grew up Black Americans, but I also got introduced to a lot of different things, and shoot, cooking empanadas, and you know what I'm saying, like stuff like that. You know, you pick up those things just being around other people. And diversity is like the biggest investing I want to push. You know, because there's so many people in the world that you get to interact with, and you know, you learn so many different things from other cultures as well. So.
Absolutely, and that's something that here at the STCC campus community, we like to basically embrace our diversity because we all come from somewhere and we're better together than apart, you know? So in what ways do you navigate and express the intersection of your Afro-Latino and African-American heritage in your work?
So it's so funny because growing up, I'll say growing up, right? But I was like 4 or 5 coming from New York, and a lot of the graffiti artists in Brooklyn were African American and Latino. That I would see on the subway. You would see them on the side of, you know, fire escapes, and I was always heavily influenced by those things. You know, seeing them, you know, be able to express themselves so freely, and then, you know, there's a little bit of a taboo thing, right? Talking about graffiti, because it's frowned upon, it's like vandalism, but I didn't see it like that as a kid. I saw it as something beautiful that I wanted to be a part of. I never delved into it, right? But I was heavily influenced by it. And I think that was the biggest, most important thing that kind of stuck with me. And that is in my work, because a lot of my work is very free flowing. Believe it or not, it looks like it's a mess, but it's not. Cause I'm more of I'll say like a clean cut artist. Like I want things to be perfect. I'm a perfectionist, right? Like anybody with anything, right? I want it to be perfect. I want it to be spot on, but this art style I've been working in is kind of like a little bit more freeing and liberates me from that kind of like, I'll say like self-imposed, I guess, standard, right? And then
or stereotype.
Yeah, well, that too, yeah. It's like I have to do this thing right all the time. It's like, no, you don't. You can let it be. It'll be fine. Right? That's good. So that's kind of like the things I pull from is like
That's true, you know, growing up, not to age myself, but as a Gen Xer, we grew up with a lot of breakdancing, a lot of graffiti was huge. And you're right, it was a form of expression. But even if you go down to Coney Island and you see the amazing work artists have done on murals and the graffiti have taken a life of its own, it is very inspirational. And for you to see that as a way for you to express yourself and to share that, that's amazing. And a lot of people forget that. So growing up, you know, seeing that, it inspired you. And now you are now inspiring others.
Look, I'm trying, y'all. I'm trying.
So in your influence for the culture, as you have mentioned already, and you did mention that graffiti was one of the sort of culture themes that influenced you. Were there any traditions in your African American Latino cultures that influenced you into your work besides what you just described?
I think it's ever evolving, right? It's a revolving door. It never stays the same. So as soon as I'm introduced to something, like when I first saw the Taino sun,
yes,
I was enamored with it. I was like, oh my God, what is this thing? Do people know about this? Of course, people know about it, right?
yes.
And then I saw the coquille, right? I drew that for a little bit. I'm like, why am I doing that? Because I like symbols and I like things that are, I was just say fascinating, in a way of like, what does it mean, right? What's attached to this? And I didn't know that was like
the Taino hieroglyphs.
Right, yes. And I ended up making my own hieroglyphs because I was influenced by seeing stuff like that. So like that is another big thing. Like I'm constantly being introduced to things over and over again and new things, right? Definitely just directly influenced it. So with that being said, I'm gonna switch it up a little bit here. Go ahead and talk a little bit of your background with your Latino culture and how it started. So I'll say my mom, she's the melting pot, right? A focal point for me being introduced to a lot of different So like, she would cook so many different things. You'd be like, why are you making egg rolls? You black. Like, why you making that? But she didn't care. She just wanted to try things.
Mhm.
So like, she would make empanadillas, she would make, panin.
Mhm.
I'm like, what is all this stuff? And she had bought a Puerto Rican, cookbook
Oh.
that kind of opened me up. So I'm just like, wait, who is this lady?
Mhm.
And she was just always like, just trying new recipes and just trying stuff. My sister would be like, well, this is nasty. But I'm like, no, let's try it. And it would be good usually. You know what I'm saying? She would mess up a couple times, right? 'Cause, you know. But that was like, I'll say that's the biggest, my mother was like the biggest influence to that, opening that door for the Latino culture, be a part of just things that I've been introduced to.
Mhm.
And then, like I said, I grew up in North Park, so you know, playing outside, like seeing people talking things to you, I didn't know what they were talking about. And I'm like, this is interesting, you know what I'm saying? Like, so just being exposed, right? And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, we have to be exposed to different things, because when you silo yourself and you just with yourself all the time, you kind of get stuck in your own head, and that's not a good place to be. You know, you have to be around the other, you have to be around different things. And I would encourage everybody, like, there's something new, like, just try it, you know, even if you don't like it, just try it.
And when we had intro talk before, you also mentioned how your last name came to be.
Yes.
Share a little bit about that.
So that's a crazy story, but I'll clean it up. So my great grandmother actually, you know, she actually remarried a Puerto Rican man, and then all of her kids ended up getting the last name Hernandez.
Hernandez.
So it's kind of stuck, you know, throughout 3 or 4 generations.
Yeah.
And every time I go, like I said, like when I was in middle school, I would get yelled at by the Spanish, you know, teacher. And she's like, you're supposed to know Spanish. But I'm like, wait,
Because of your last name.
yeah, because of my last name. And she's like, you're supposed to know it. And I'm like, but I'm black. Like,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So that was just like it's just so funny how like I got to experience that. Like if you're gonna have this name, you're part of this culture. This is what we expect of you. You know, like that standard. So I still haven't learned a lot. I know a little bit, right? I'm gonna keep it away. I know a little bit, but I don't.
You picked it up.
A little bit. I can understand it, but it was just interesting to be able to like grow up and to be exposed to that.
Yeah, so this is one of the reasons why we like to highlight the Afro-Latino community too, because we all come from 3, 4 different types of ethnicities all mixed into one. And I think it's important to highlight, especially, you know, there's a designated month for African American, and Afro-Latino culture sometimes gets a little on the side note, but around the world, it's very big, and Black History Month is huge around the world as well. So this is why it's important for us to see the kind of work that you've done, and you are the epitome of Black, African American and Latino culture, all in one, and you express it so well in your art. I thought it was a great segue to let people understand that we all can mesh in together and celebrate one another, especially the talent that you have and contributed to the community. So going back to the questions, getting serious here.
I appreciate it.
Community and representation. How does your art contribute to the representation and visibility of Afro-Latino and African-American communities in Springfield?
I would say that a lot of the work I've been doing, is attached to purpose, right? And everybody in this room has a purpose. It's your job to figure it out. And I've always been trying to get people to even just think about, like, you know, what is my purpose here? You know, and I think that's a very important thing to hold on to and have, because it gives you your drive, right? You need your drive to live, you need your drive to do certain things. And when you have purpose attached to it, it elevates everything that you do. You start to find out certain things, like, do I need to do this? Is this going to help me get to where I need to go? You know, I always use this analogy about a camping trip, right? You go on a camping trip, should you bring the bundle? Probably not, you know? And when you have a purpose, you start to shave away certain things that you don't need, you know? And I always try to get youth and young people to think about what inspires you? What are the things that are going to create a lane for you? You know, because once you have purpose, it doesn't matter what job you get, it doesn't matter what you do for a career. You will always have a sense of fulfillment that can't nobody can take away from.
Mhm.
You know, and that's kind of like a big portion of like, what I try to preach and try to get people to understand is everybody has God-given ability, right? Mine's is art, but that's actually not my gift. It's just a piece of what my gift manifests to be, right?
Mhm.
My gift is actually putting things together.
Mhm.
And it took me a long time to figure that out and a lot of soul searching, but I had to do the work, you know, and do that.
Mhm.
And I think if young people had a leg up and knew that, you know, there's things that you're good at that nobody's good at.
Exactly.
And I hear that a lot. People are like, yo, how do you do this? I'm like, it's just easy, just this. And it's just like, I'll say that it's easy, but to somebody else, it's not, you
Right,
know?
yeah.
And I always try to make sure that, people leave, walk away or leave with something. Like,
Mhm.
leave with me saying something that inspired them or something that pushed them towards going towards their purpose.
Is there a particular story of the kind of work that you did in the community that sticks out that really stuck with you?
There's a lot, there's so many.
What are your top two choices?
The top two, oh gosh, I'm making the memories as we talk about it. So I know doing the enrichments that I did at Kahli, Kennedy, and Duggan,
Mhm.
that I didn't know for myself that I would have such an influence on the kids.
Mhm.
And I think I had like 7th, 8th graders, 6th
Mhm.
graders.
Yeah.
That was like the age group I was working with at the time. And that's it, and that was at the beginning of my career. So I was really like soul searching, trying to figure out like what was the thing to do, and I was encouraging them to do that as well. And there was a couple students that I do remember who were like, they didn't do art as much as they wanted to, you know, just because of their own life and things
Right.
going on. But like just me, I didn't realize that me just encouraging them would open that door in their minds to be able to explore that. So just even just like small interactions, like even now at Duggan, I'm doing a mural at Duggan now. We're gonna start Thursday. Some of the kids, some of the 12th graders, they're like, I put art down, I'm not really doing much with it. I'm like, no, you can do it. And, you know, and I didn't realize how important it is for you to just say that to them. Just saying like, you can do it.
Right.
Like, you elevate them to a point where it's like, oh, I can do it. And I think those are the big things that do stand out to me as far as like interacting and dealing with, you know, youth and stuff that impact me also with anything, you know, like having people pursue the dreams that they do have. Those are the two.
No, that's great, because even here at the campus, we have a lot of students that are still trying to figure out what it is that they want to do.
Yeah.
And you're right, they need some sort of guidance, an advisor, a counselor,
Oh, yeah.
or a professor or a classmate that might say something that inspires them to continue and motivate them. And you're right, sometimes, you know, individuals don't have that, and you providing your own expression through these elementary and high school students, you are inspiring, just like we do here. And then the fact that you're here at the campus, just, it's even more inspirational of that journey. And this is why it's important to highlight that and your contributions. So in that sense, it's very inspirational. One of the reasons I reached out, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did, because I think people kind of get lost in the sauce and think that you're old, right? I decided at 28, right? I'm 32, I'm gonna be 33 in December.
Mhm.
I decided at 28, I'm gonna take art seriously. And I have been doing art for years. I used to work at Subway, I used to draw for hours, get in trouble, like, you name it. I used to clean cars. I did a lot of stuff before I got to the point where it's like, what's the thing that nobody can take away from me? You know what I'm saying? What's the thing that I can pass on to my kids? And that's my gifts and abilities. Right?
Mhm.
I can give my art to my kids. I can, you know what I'm saying? Like there's a way for me to make a living. There's a way for me to kind of have fulfillment, right? Like I said, going back to purpose, that I can be okay and do this and feel whole, you know? And I just want to encourage anybody at any age, if you want to do something, just go do it.
Mhm.
There's nobody stopping you but you know, a lot of the
That's
time,
good.
you know, like you're in your own head, I talk myself out of so many blessings is not even funny. Like, I'm so serious. There's so many things that opportunities that I did have that I talked myself out of because I was so just wrapped up in, no, I'm not good enough. You know, it's just this, it's those small little like things that will break you down and keep you down. Where you have to kind of put yourself in a position mentally and also have people around you, because your environment is the most important thing, right? The people that you're around and your mindset can change at the drop of a hat if you decide.
Absolutely.
And as soon as I made the decision, it's all been up. It really has.
And as you said, it's never too late. It
It's
doesn't
never.
matter if.
Nope, you can be 74. I don't care. Go ahead and do it.
I have students who are in their seventies here,
Tell them
actually.
they can
so-
do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So when it comes to your artistic expression and storytelling, in what ways do you incorporate, again, going back to the Afro, Latino, and African American narratives into your murals and your life paintings? Like, can you give an expression where you felt that had an
So,
influence on that?
when I first started, like becoming the artist, right? I had went on a podcast with my history one, and I had done a piece on Malcolm X. And it was, I believe the piece was called By Any Means Necessary. And it was talking about how, you know, just because of the color of your skin, that shouldn't influence the things that you want to do with your life. And it's so funny because as soon as I finished that piece, it sold immediately. And I'm like, okay, all right, this is different. Because I hadn't been exposed to like selling work and stuff like that. And I didn't realize how powerful and how meaningful what I was actually doing, what it meant, you know? Mind you, the piece wasn't the best looking piece. It wasn't, not to me at least.
But it was inspired.
But people saw the value in it, you know, because it was about Malcolm X. And he was definitely a heavy influence on my parents, me as well, just because of his philosophy. And over time, you get to watch this individual transform and become, you know, he was radical in certain ways, but then he was very intelligent and genius in other ways. It was like watching him have this metamorphosis and from going from one way to another. And it was just like, I was blown away by his life story. And it was just, it impacted me so much, it made it into my work. I think I probably made that piece, I made it twice, and then I made another piece after that, so.
So you have a series.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. And my father ended up buying it, which was crazy. And I'm like, okay, like, you usually be crushing up my, you know, balling up my stuff and throwing it away because it's in the way, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, that was a big thing for me, like, having somebody who is important to me, who really didn't really care that much about the artwork, but then to, you know,
Support your work.
support it because of what the message that I was trying to bring forward. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did.
Sure.
So were there any particular symbols, colors, or motifs in your art that pay homage to your cultural heritage? Because I see a lot of primary colors
That's,
that you
I'll
use.
tell you why I picked primary.
Go ahead.
I picked primary colors because I suck at picking colors. Those are the only concrete colors that I know for sure that will be readable, that people will understand, right? Because you picked up on it.
Yes.
Because I like all the colors. I want to use every single color. I don't want to leave no colors out. And I don't know. I guess that's due to my indecisiveness.
Well, no, maybe that, you know, everyone has a signature, all artists and have signature and as you put it, you're the world famous cartoonist, and back in the day, cartoons had primary colors. It didn't have a mesh of things going on. And someone who has an eye can definitely pick it up, but I'm pretty sure even children, kids, adults, it's something that's nostalgic in a way. So I just wanted to know if that's your theme, just like Picasso, Monet, they have their own style. So is the primary colors or the theme your style?
I guess so. I mean, I've been doing this so much, I guess lately. But I think colors, it's so funny. I was watching something on like Pixar, and that's an animation studio that works with Disney.
Yeah.
Oh, Disney owns it now. They were talking about how colors equate to emotion in their work that they do. So I was like, oh, that's cool. I like that. I don't know how to use it yet, but when I do, I'll figure it out. And I think color's so important because the world is bland.
Yes, it is.
It's so bland.
Yes,
And when you add a little bit of color, then you get, you know what I'm saying, there's some depth,
Mhm.
you know?
No, the world is only bland if you don't add color.
If you
to it.
don't, right? And
Yeah.
I'll try to get all the color all the time. And I know I can't, it's overwhelming, a little overstimulated, but you know, that's just how my mind works. I want things to look complimentary, you want it to look beautiful, I want to make it so that you can't not look at it. You know, I said this in an interview, I said, oh, I want the colors that I choose to punch you in the eye. So you can look at it,
Yes,
but it also stands out.
it stands out. It does.
So I try to.
One of the things that I noticed when the showing that you have currently going on in the Amy H. Carberry Gallery was how bright, how vibrant, and how it did stand out. It did, for me, bring me back to when I was young, you know, when I used to watch cartoons. And I still do sometimes in some of the movies because they're funny.
Right.
It just brought back memories. And so that's why I was like, I wonder what's his background in picking those primary colors. Because it speaks volumes, especially to young kids and even older folks
Yeah.
who grew up with not so many choices.
Yeah. And I also, you know, choose colors to kind of direct you in a way. Because I always try to leave an underlying message or leave you with something a little bit more that you didn't expect to see. I heard this from, I can't remember who exactly. They were talking about like what makes art popular, what makes it blow up, what makes it so big. And there's three things. If you're a working artist, familiarity, context, and surprise. Those are the three things you always need to have in your work. If you want to sell. If you don't want to sell, do whatever you want. But those are the three things that he spoke about. We got a video that I was watching. And I've always been trying to operate under those things. So it's like, I want the color to be familiar so that you can kind of be attracted to it and be drawn to it. I always have a little bit of context, no matter what I do. I use a lot of scriptures and things that relate to me or things that I've gone through at the time. And then I'll have like a little bit of surprise. Sometimes it might be on the dark paint, it might be ultraviolet paint, where you get special light to shine on it, or some glitter. It's always something special, something a little bit more than the average, you know, painter. Because a lot of times when you paint something, it's like, okay, you drew a cow in a barn, and it looks real, and then it's that's it. You know, and I always add that little bit of surprise to it at the end of it, in any way I can think of.
A little twist.
Yeah, just a little bit of a twist because then it becomes a story. Then it becomes something that people can follow, something that people become attracted to. Because it's like, you don't want to just be that's it. You know, like you don't want to be like, oh, that's it. Because people can walk and look at any of my work and do that anyway. But if I add a little extra zhuzh to it, right, or a little twist, then it becomes something a little bit more. And I always try to leave people with something more.
With that said, was there any kind of artists that inspired you who either were African American, Latino, or in general that really made you look at their work and inspire your work then or now?
Yeah. So I'm gonna talk about Jean-Michel Basquiat. And I did not like him when I first, I didn't get it. I didn't like him. And I'm like, this is so juvenile, this is so easy. How did he become so popular with this terrible art? Because I'm like, oh, Michelangelo, perfectionist, right? That's the level of perfection, so that's what I consider art. But then I actually like studied him. And I studied his life. And I studied his genius, the actual genius. And I kind of broke down like what made it so popular. And the reason why I'll say in my opinion, why he was so popular was because his work is relatable. People could look at his work and see like themselves in it. And it's like, wow, that's so much more in depth than just it being a piece, right? Like you can look at the Sistine Chapel and be like, wow, this is amazing. I can't believe it, you know what I'm saying? And it's an easy shock and an easy awe. But then when I looked at his work, I was like, I didn't get it. Why is it millions of dollars? Like why, you know, like it just didn't make sense to me at the time. But then I actually picked up a book, I studied what he was doing, and then I was like, yo, hold up. He knows a little bit more than he's leading on. I mean, if you look continually at his work, he was saying to him. And I'm just sitting there like, oh my God. Like,
Mhm.
I'm sitting here being all posh and right, really fancy, whatever.
Every now and then, everyone
Yeah.
goes through that.
But it was like, wait, no, there's so much information, there's so many things that are moving parts that I didn't see before until I learned about him. So I'll say he heavily influenced a lot of the stuff I started doing.
Mhm.
And then I like was doing like, I would say like an understudy of him and his work. And I was trying to emulate that. I'm like, oh, I get it now. And it was outside of the realm of things that I usually do. You know, like I was doing graphic design stuff, really clean line work. But then I was like, let me try this different new thing, right?
Mhm.
Something that's not adjacent to anything that I always normally do.
Right.
And I got opened up to a whole new world of stuff just because of like trying to emulate him in his work.
So it just brings to right now that we're here to meet you,
No.
the world famous cartoonist, and hopefully someone will feel the same way as you did about the artist that inspired you. So this is why find out who the man is behind the talent art, and this is why we're doing this types of introduction, just to make sure, you know, everyone really understands where you're coming from, what are you doing, where you're going, and what it is that you're trying to convey through your art. So it definitely ties in, but we'll always continue to get inspired, and that's great that you actually have someone that inspired you because you understood what it is he was trying to do or say, and the same thing may happen to you.
No, look, I hope so.
in the future.
Because I know, I was just saying this when you were talking, like, the art that I even work on now is just like, that's like me having fun, right?
Mm,
I can do high realism if I wanted to.
mm.
Like, I could show you some stuff. I got some stuff, man. I got some really good stuff,
You were
but
holding up all this
yeah,
time?
oh yeah, I'm definitely
no.
holding it down. I can't let you know everything else. But just like being able to, I'll say this is my inspiration stage, right? This is the art that I'm creating that I want to use to inspire people to even try. Because I want it to look easy. I
Mhm,
want it to look easy enough so you think you can do it.
mhm.
And then when I start to, you know, I guess when I decide, when I really start to go in my bag of stuff and skills and technical stuff, you'll see a whole different person.
Oh, so
So you have to stay tuned.
stay
Yeah,
tuned.
yeah.
There's gonna be a part two maybe in the future.
Yeah.
So how do music or literature and other cultural expressions from your heritage inform your creative process?
It's so funny because, the music that I listen to and some of the books I've read,
Mhm,
I sit with those things and then I'll have them playing in the background. And then somebody will be singing something and then I'll write with it. I unconsciously do this.
mhm,
I'll unconsciously just write something like they said. I'm like, why did I do that? You know, because I'm like, okay, it must speak to me, it must be saying something, you
mhm.
know, for me to be able to go from hearing it and then putting it on the canvas.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I have pieces that I've done that have actual song lyrics. And things.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna tell you which ones because I gotta
You gotta
guessing.
keep that, you gotta keep
Yeah, I
that.
gotta keep
quiet.
guessing. Yeah, for sure.
So for future aspirations, do you have any plans for the future projects that specifically highlight Afro-Latino and African-American cultures?
I think I'll get around to it when it's necessary and when I feel it's necessary to talk about. Because believe it or not, art definitely does speak volumes, and it travels way faster and further when it has that meaning attached to it.
Mhm,
When it has that culture. Like when I was doing the Malcolm X piece, I was just like, okay, I didn't think people were gonna like it this much, you
mhm.
know. And then when I added the message to it, people like it even more. And I'm just like, oh, I think when I decide to do it, it'll be a lot of purpose attached to it. And then try to make it as impactful as possible.
Mhm. You know, I'm gonna share a little bit too. I remember, growing up in Puerto Rico, right? And in my mother's side of the family, we have a lot of artistic, families and aunts and uncles and cousins. And I remember that one of my aunts sent me a painting that she did behind, it was like a root vegetable that was dried out, like the hard coconut shell. So she did a painting on there, and when I received it, I still have it. It was a picture that she painted of my grandmother on her wooded house with the chickens and the trees and the rivers and her sisters washing the clothes in the river. When I saw that painting or in that form, it, it gave me a look into their history and how it was for them growing up. And so it's true what you say that art speaks volumes and transcends in different places. When I saw that, and even though that was her time before I even existed, I remember visiting one time my grandmother's place and I saw that. So it's like she took me back in time through that piece of art.
Just a little coconut and some.
I'll share that motif with you, that piece with you, but it's what you said, so she did it because she was inspired and it was like a fond memory. So let me ask you, do you feel that you've ever done any work that has brought you that a memory or vision or whatnot? Like,
Yeah,
and how many times have you done work like that?
so I did this one piece of my cousin who passed. Her mom commissioned me to do it. It was really rough doing. And I didn't want to mess up, but she paid me to do it. And I had worked on that piece for about probably like a week. And then I literally cried while I was working on that. I ain't trying to be all sensitive and mushy, but I did cry because it looked like, you know, my heart sent me the picture. And then I just did my thing with it. I think this thing is in her liver now. But I think that was probably the most impactful piece that I've done. That kind of meant a lot. And I didn't know why I was crying. I'm just like, well, I do know why. It was sad. You know, I got some was very nice. But working on that piece, I don't usually do portraits either. So I stay away from portraits. Everybody does portraits. So I'm like, leave me alone. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
But she had asked for me to do it. And when I finished, like, I was like,
It stayed with you.
this is, I captured the moment. And like you said, you had that moment captured on the coconut, right? And
Yeah.
washing clothes, and it kind of like brought you back. And I think that's another reason why art is so important and valuable, because of the impact and influence that it actually has on us emotionally. It really does affect us in a way that a lot of things can't. You know, you can hear a song and that's cool, but if I can bring you back to a moment just by painting the picture, that's a little bit more powerful. When I'll say, when you said transcendent.
It took you there.
Yeah, it leaves you kind of just in awe. You know, and those are things that are important. Your memories are important. The family's important. And for you to be able to be brought back to that moment and just sit with it, you know, it's almost like a good coffee, right? Or like a good story. And you just get to have that moment.
So well, let me just add a little bit to that. Like, I feel like your gallery showcasing here at the college, has been inspirational, and even just seeing how it was designed and laid out, even through pictures, I feel it speaks volumes. How do you feel being able to have your showing here at the Amy H. Carberry Gallery?
It was a long time coming. That's all I'm gonna say. And I'm so glad. It took me, I'll say, I was harassing, and I was trying my best to try to get in the gallery with a different project, but it wasn't time. And I think that's the most important thing. It wasn't time for me to do anything in that gallery yet until like about a year later. It's so great. The story is insane. Like, I don't know. You want me to go through it?
Sure, that's why you're here.
I'm trying to give like the short, you know what I'm saying? So I had been trying to do a show called the Blank Canvas Exhibition here for, I don't know, like a few weeks, like a couple years ago. And I was calling, I was showing up here, and I just kept missing Sandra. Like, it was so weird how I just kept missing her. Like, I would come into the gallery and then the work study student would be like, yeah, she just left. I'm like, damn. Like, Like, and I just kept coming back, kept coming back, kept coming back. The show ended up being at the AP Gallery in
Okay,
Northampton.
okay.
And we did 4 days and we did like 1,000 people. We got like
Wow.
1,000 people to show up
Wow.
and come paint and do this project. It was called the art project. And they're actually doing it again this year. We're doing an art project again. And then that's where you can come and do experimental stuff. It's really wild.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been working with the AP Gallery for some time past, after like June. And then they had asked me to bring some of the work from the gallery to show it at their new spot on 33 Hollywood. It's pretty much down the street from the AP Gallery on Main Street. And funny enough, Sandra was there. And it was like, this is, wow, you did all this.
Timing was perfect there.
Yeah. And then she called me and was like, hey, you got to meet. I was like, I know, we got to meet, because I've been looking for you. I've been trying to hunt you down. And then she kind of just let me do my thing. She was like, you have any ideas? I'm like, yeah, I got just ideas for this thing. And she was like, oh, okay. And I was like, she don't like it. All right, let me try something else. I was like, escape room / art exhibit. She was like, yes. And she said, all right, cool. Just take some time to put together. I said, what? Like, you want this? You want this idea? She said, yeah. She's like, whatever you do, I know it's gonna be good.
Well, think about it, escape rooms right now are very big.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of, stressors and people who just need to vent in a certain way. And maybe your art exhibits that, for people who feel certain kind of way. Like for me, when I saw your art, it did speak to me because it brought me back to the childhood, growing up and seeing those vibrant colors, seeing those breakdancers, those graffitis, which, as you said, at one point it seemed one way, but now it's coming back in a very artistic way.
It's getting its shine.
And it spoke, and I think it's gonna speak to a lot of folks, young, middle, and even older, because we all know that nostalgia. If it happened to me, and I don't think I'm very, I do have some artistic ability, but not like that. But I recognized that, and it made me look more than twice.
Wow.
I would work.
It's so cool to hear different people have different perspectives. Because I think my sister came last week and she actually did the exhibit. She was like, that was so much fun. And I wasn't expecting that. You know what I'm saying? Like, your sister, well, I grew up with 4 sisters. So, and I'm the second oldest.
Oh, good, you've been conditioned.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. Definitely, for sure.
That's for another show, another topic.
But yeah, so like, my sister, she's a little knucklehead sometimes. They talk trash, right? They talk trash, but she actually enjoyed it. And it meant so much to me because I had worked really hard on it, especially with the 6 students. Like, we were busting our hump in there and just trying to make it so it's an enjoyable experience. And then for you to be able to pull something out of it, like I won, just for me.
Yeah.
Like you got to have an experience that I wouldn't have known if you didn't tell me.
What I'm gathering, from hearing you speak is like the support that you get from, folks and people around is great. But what really drives you home is the support from your immediate family.
Yeah.
I noticed that's like big, with your father, with your sisters, and that makes you feel even more proud, it seems.
You know why? Because you grew up getting beat up and getting in trouble and get your butt whooped. So now, right, yeah. But then it's like they get to see you blossom into this person, that you weren't, I guess, at the time. The person was there, right? But I think them being proud of me means so much to me. And I think that's important for anybody to have that support system. Because if you don't, it's really hard trying to move around in this world without other people. And that's another thing I definitely like to promote and push is fellowship. Because that's the biggest, most important thing, being together with people that you love, and that is something that I think is almost like air. You have to have it.
Just to touch a little base on that, if you're willing to share, growing up in African American or Latino culture, or both, what you did, you said something very important, like we all did grow up getting beat up, but it's because we came from hard times. We didn't have things handed to us. We didn't, we got what we got because we earned it. And I think when your family members or your immediate family members see that, they go, wow, like, it's possible. So you become an inspirational piece to your families as well, as to say, look, we can all do this. It's just, it takes time, because sometimes people stay kind of stuck in their own ways. And it's not till they come out and persevere and push and motivate that they can actually, have something to show up for.
Yeah,
And it also makes you proud of your family and your heritage. Am I right?
no, yeah, you hit it spot on. It's so funny because it made me think about one of my older cousins. I don't even know if he'll remember him saying this to me. It was at a weird time too. He was like, you gotta be the one that like makes it out or becomes something. And I was like, well, you can do it too, but the fact that he said it to me was weird because he was like, you don't think you can do it? But I gotta be the one to do it, and I've always encouraged him to kind of do his thing. Like he's in the comedy, and I've always pushed him, and now he's starting to do it. So I'm like, I guess me doing my thing must have, you know what I'm saying? Like you see me in the newspaper, you see me, and those things are great, but that's not what's important, right? But you seeing me actively living in my purpose makes you want to live in my purpose. And if I can do that enough to where everybody wants to do it, I did my due diligence. I can die happy.
It's like leading by example.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And it just takes a nudge. It doesn't take much. I don't care if I gotta go through hell so other people will be inspired. I will go through it because I understand the value of other people and their purpose, right? It's just as meaningful as mine. They're just as important. And if I can just cause people to be affected or spread the virus, right? Spread the virus of living in your purpose. I want to push and promote as much as possible. Let's just say inspire because that's not what.
No, it's true, because I think that overall, we, like you mentioned earlier, you go to Duggan and all these other schools in the area, and you push, younger kids to be inspired and to go for, their dreams. And a word can change something, just like a cousin of yours said that to you. For example, I remember being in 7th grade and asking my brother for a little bit of math help, and he's like, well, no one taught me, and I learned you gotta do it all on your own. And at first, I hit him, kicked him, but guess what? That helped me get whatever I wanted to, because he was being mean about it. But like you said, it inspired. So your art also may do that to someone who may not be very vocal, maybe someone who's very visual, or maybe someone who's hands-on. And you can identify that, but it can definitely change and inspire people, just like we all got inspired one way or another, right?
Right. And I always try not to focus on how, right? Because it could be anything, I think people try to get caught up in how things. Like, do you care how you get $1 million? I mean, legally, right? Legally,
Well,
right?
that's another topic.
But if I told you there was a way you could make a clean $1 million, right? Do you care how you or what you have to do to get it?
You're asking a female who is very detailed, that I might not answer probably.
No,
I might care, because I wanna know how it works.
But the truth is, if I said, all you gotta do is this to get it.
I get it.
You would like, here, take the shoes off my feet. So you can get
You
it.
pay
So-
attention and you get
right.
motivated, yeah.
So I try not to focus on how things get done. I just focus on the goal, because the goal is to inspire. The goal is to kind of create the things that I want to create.
Absolutely.
And the fulfillment is the biggest out ever. It really is, because there's no amount of money, like that stuff starts to fall away after a certain time. And when after you get that past that point, some people never pass it. You start to think about your very limited time you have on this earth. Your very limited resources if you don't have them, and how you can affect the next generation. Like, I'm 32, and I'm thinking like, what is the world, what world am I handing over to the people behind me? Time is just gonna keep passing.
Exactly.
And I'm a little dash, I'm a little blip on the grand scheme of things, and it's like, what can I affect? How can I make this better for those people that are coming behind me?
Exactly. Paving the way.
Yeah, and I think that's so important to like have that or at least have that on the table, right?
Mhm.
As an individual, not just the artist, right?
Mhm.
But as a human being,
Right.
like what legacy do you want to leave? Do you want to leave a legacy that people will be proud of? Or do you want to leave a legacy that, or be forgotten? I think that's like the worst thing. Like nobody ever remembered you.
Mhm.
Like you were just somebody that showed up to work. That's it.
Mhm.
Like I don't want to. I don't want anybody to leave that out.
Right.
But you gotta choose. You know, at the end of the day, like okay. If that's what you want to do, I'm not gonna fight you for it, but maybe you should try to do that thing you've always wanted to do.
Exactly.
Right? You wanna go skydiving? Go skydiving.
Yeah, life
Right?
is short.
Yeah, life is short, so live it up, you know?
So one last question here regarding your future aspirations. How do you envision your role in bridging and celebrating both communities of Afro-Latino and African American?
I think the most important thing and the best thing for me to do is to, like you said, be the bridge, but you also have to like create the opportunities. So like when I do events, when I do speaking engagements, right? Like just put the thing in, just the thing, right? The thing is always like the thing they want to do and just inspire them to like push them to do it and create the opportunities for people also to come together because we need each other more than ever right now. People have so many differences, people have things that pull them away from other people. And it's like, there's way more important things, that we need to focus on. And I think us being together and fellowshipping together and loving people for real. And I don't mean like, oh, you only love them because they brought you a sandwich. I mean like, this person, I don't agree with this person, but the worst thing I can do to them is love them, you know, in a way that will make them think about their decisions, make them think about their choices, make them think about their life in a different way. Like, nah, bro, I love you enough to let you know, like, this ain't the right thing to do, you know, wherever that may be. And just allowing people that's a support system and knowing that it's there, right? Because you can have a support system and not use it, right? It's like having a car in your driveway and you never go, you always taking a bus. Like you have the keys, you have everything you need, it's already around you. And I think that for future endeavors, I definitely want people to come together and realize that we all need each other.
Exactly.
Trying to do anything on your own is extremely difficult.
Exactly.
Like
And
anything.
this is why here at the college, we try to make sure that students have that support system. They are connected. We bring different kinds of programs and people and leaders, community leaders and so forth for that support system and that connection.
Right.
And you're doing your piece,
Yeah.
you know, the college is doing theirs, the gallery's doing theirs. So with that said, is there anything else you want to share or give some sort of personal advice to the folks here and the folks online?
You're never too old, is the first thing. You have a purpose, a God-given purpose. And it's up to you to choose whether you want to use it or not. And this is just something that I would try to live by. Make sure you leave this planet with no regrets.
Oh, that's very
Don't
good.
regret anything.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you do everything you want to do, write every book, paint every piece, write every piece of poetry, write every song, leave this world and die empty. Die empty.
That's true.
Nothing left to give.
Absolutely. Well, Kahli Hernandez, thank you so much for your time
Thank you for
here.
having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We do have some time for some questions. If anyone have any questions, go right ahead.
So it was, I was chosen by the Duggan kids. Believe it or not, the kids at Duggan, like I had applied to be chosen maybe like a year or two ago. In that class, they were like, we want a girl. I said, oh no, I'm not a girl. And they ended up picking somebody else. I believe her name is Kahli Green. She was a phenomenal artist. They picked her for that year. Then they picked another person. It was like one or two people in between when I got chosen. And then this year's my year. So that the kids actually picked me. Not any adults. Like the 12th graders get to choose who they want. And they come up with the design with the artist. So we already got a design, we're about to put it up, so like, I give it to the kids are the ones who kind of just, chose me, I guess.
Any other questions? Yes. Let me repeat that. How do you build connections for the community? In the art community to get out there?
Let me tell you a trade secret, it's very small. Very, very small. So if you know somebody that's a director or something, they know somebody who's a director. And they know, and it's really small. And you have to be personable, right? You have to be able to network. And you also have to do the things that you say you're gonna do, right? So if they say, hey, I'm gonna give you a show, it's X, Y, and Z. This is the things you wanna do. This is what you propose to the gallery. You have to do it. Because then it rolls, it's like a snowball effect. It always rolls into the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And you kind of have to put yourself out there and be personable enough for them to talk to you, and you need to be able to communicate any ideas you have effectively. So like that's through writing, right? And that's through speech. So you have to have those things in order to be able to move around the way you want to. Because a lot of the opportunities I've gotten is because I love networking. I love meeting people. I love talking. Yeah, I love it. Like, and that's just me. You may not like it, but that's something that you definitely have to do so that you can be able to move around and move the way you want to. You're not gonna get all the opportunities all the time, but you also have to own real estate in people's minds as this thing. So like when people go, when something breaks in their house and is gotta deal with the water, they call him the plumber. So the first plumber they think about is the guy who's gonna be over here fixing it. And it's the same thing with art. You have to put yourself in other people's minds as an artist. So if you can do that, you won.
And in addition to that, as a student here at the college, as you mentioned, to add that, as you mentioned, being able to express yourself, being able to have good writing, communication, presentation. So take classes that have to deal with that here at the college. And there are folks here, resources that can help you develop those skills as well while you're here. Definitely use that time to develop those skills. And when in doubt, just go to your professors or classmates to be able to do that. So that's really good advice.
Yeah.
From an art community that's small.
Yeah.
But from a technical or community, a college perspective, take advantage of the classes that you're taking here. Because they're all designed for this specific reason.
And I think another big thing too is to emulate the people that you want to be like, right? Find that person and hang around them. If they're too far away, take that piece of their personality and then plug it into the person that you want to become. Because I definitely have been doing that. Like there's people who, like even some celebrities who have aspects of things that don't fit into one person. But I take that, I pluck that out, and I try to emulate that as much as possible, because that's who I want to be eventually. So you should always use the things that are around you and available to you, especially at state, right? There's a bunch of people here that you can pull from. Use what you have, use your resources, like use everything. Like I don't even know if you knew it, but Sandra was just sitting next to you. So it's like, she's right there, go talk to her, hang out with her, figure out what she likes, and I think that's another important part of networking that people kind of miss out on, is like maintaining the relationships and learning about the people that they want to be around. It's like having a friend. You're just making more friends, so just do that.
Any other questions? So the question is, to talk a little bit more details about the program. Are you, to clarify that, you're talking about college programs or? Yes,
Like specific things that I've created. There's quite a few things a lot of things that I do create is usually just off the top. Like, people will come to me for stuff, like I have a program that I'm running right now called the Queen's Narrative. This is the second iteration of the first one. The first one's called Birth of an Artist. And the Queen's Narrative is an organization that works with women and young women And the project they proposed was like, hey, we don't care what you come up with, but do something for our 12 to 18-year-olds. I said, oh, I can do that. So I came up with the idea of Birth of an Artist. And that was to show them how to do everything that I do. From coming up with project proposals, selling work, like what it's valued at. And then we're working on another iteration now where it's like they have to kind of get into more things and more of the business side of it. And that's something I came up with. So it's not just like, oh, this book with all the programs. Like, no, there's things that I come up with that you could come up with. It's almost like filling the gap, right? You find the need for something, and then if you can offer whatever you have to build it and solve that problem, there you go. Now you have a program. So it's like, I think problem solving is the biggest thing. The problem solvers, right? That we need in this world. So if you want to make a program or make your own program, find a problem and then come up with a solution to fix it. And that's kind of like what I do all the time, right? There's a lot of boring stuff that doesn't really happen. Art exhibit, plus an escape room. Like, there's a deficit there, and I just filled that deficit with the idea I had. So if you have any ideas, you have, like, just sit and come up with the ideas. Because a lot of people, they really don't have, I'll say not people, I'll say like a lot of institutions and a lot of really big corporations, they spend time trying to make their machine work. They don't have time to come up with ideas to draw people in. And I say that's the gray area where I fit in, and because those things slip through the cracks a lot of times. Like really cool ideas, really cool things, really cool programs, right? And they don't have time to think about it. And then you can take advantage of that because you do have the time. You have the energy that you could spend, and then eventually, if you decide to, right, you can sell that idea. You can sell ideas, and it doesn't cost you anything to sell an idea. I don't know if that answered the question. Yeah, okay.
Any other questions? Yeah, it's college, so people keep coming in. Well, thank you so much, Kahli. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, and there might be another part, continuing your work if you
Yeah.
wanna showcase some of your newer work or something. You're more than welcome to come in and be a part of it. So again, from the Hispanic Association of Higher Education, the Café con Leche series speakers, thank you, Kahli Hernandez.
Thank you.
Thank you.